It's a long way through the cold day.
So welcome back, friends. We have a very exciting, we got so much going on, I don't even know where to start today. So yesterday, I had to go into Portland for some errands and different things, and that left Brian here by himself. And so I had him go ahead and forge a second fro. So you can see here, this is the one that if you guys watched our live broadcast, him and I kind of worked on this together. He did most of everything. I just helped out a little bit. Yesterday he did this little one, so we have a really nice pair, a large one and a small one that we forged out of a leaf spring, heat treated, ready to go. I get to make the handles today. So while I was in Portland, something happened. We have a new addition to the shop that I want to share with you. Take a look at that. Man, that's going to change things around here. It's a small lathe. Many of you guys who have watched from way back remember that I had a small homemade lathe that I have turned a couple things on. But to be quite honest with you, the thing frightened me. It was taking your life into your own hands when you use it was not particularly safe, and so therefore I did not do a lot of turning with it because it made me so nervous. So I picked this up yesterday. What I wanted was I wanted a really small lathe that would be able to do tool handles, and the longest thing that I'll probably want to do was something like these slick handles, which is about 21 inches. I believe this lathe will do 22. Now, if I add the extension on there, you can buy a bed extension and go up to like 41, 42, which is plenty. It's just a small variable speed 1 horsepower lathe. The reason why I chose this jet, I think it's a 1221, is when I buy, investment tools like this, tools that I'm going to have a long time, it's hard to know which is the best. There's always so much hype, and it's hard to get straight answers, and you get guys that are reviewing that are either paid or myopic. You just never really know. What I typically do is I go to the service areas that work on them. And that's what I did. I went when I was in Portland, I stopped by a place where they repair machinery, and I asked him, which one should I look at? Should I look at the Jet or the Shop Fox or the Rikon or any of that? And he looked at me and said, well, I can tell you what. The only one we don't see in here is the Jet. So that's what I went with. It's hard to do because they cost more, but they cost more for a reason, and all of those reasons were explained to me, and I got to kind of see the inside of it. But this is going to be a wonderful little lathe. So I haven't done much with lathes. I'm not an expert on it at all. I took it in high school, and then I turned a couple things on my dangerous lathe, and then that was it. So I don't have a full set of tools yet. I've got some small ones here. So we're going to be turning the fro handles on this little Jet today. Listen how quiet it is. It's just running. Variable speed, so we can run it all the way up to super fast or down to slow. And this is the coolest feature, so it'll run forward or reverse. So if I flip this switch here, and watch the chuck. Nice, huh? It's really well put together. Just a neat little tool. Super excited. It's got indexing, 24 position indexing, so you can see right there, there's numbers on the spindle. And if you put this pin in, so let's say you were doing a bowl or something and you wanted some carvings on it, 4 equal sides, you can lock that in there. Like that, and then you can turn it, there's whatever, you can do 12 different or 24 different points, so that's kind of neat. I don't know if I'll use it. There's also a small attachment here that you can use that threads on there if you wanted to do bowls, which I have no experience with, but we might try that out, we'll see. So it's the way it's configured now is just for just standard turning. But it's really nice. It's really well put together. I looked at all of them yesterday. That was one of the reasons why I went into town. And this one was head and shoulders above everything else. And I thought, I wasn't going to buy the stand because the stand, is extra. All this stuff is all extra. And I'll just move it around when I want to use it. I'll put it up on the bench. But it's just too heavy. I don't know what it weighs. 125, 140 pounds or so. I mean, it took Mrs. W and I to bring it in here. So I'm glad I got the stand. And the stand was is worth it. It was super adjustable. I got the right height, and it's just really compact. It doesn't. My shop is so small. I struggled. It's hard to buy something like this when you can go on Craigslist and buy a used one that's an old American-made lathe that's super high quality. Not made overseas. But they're monsters. They're huge. I don't have room for something like that in the shop, and I don't need it. I just don't see myself as being really getting into being like a lathe type of guy. But I want to be able to do my own stuff and turn handles. So I thought that this was a great decision. All right, so enough of the talk. So here's what I want to do. So Brian, these were just left here for me. He left before I got home last night. And what we need to do is we need to put a kind of a finish on them, which is going to be a beeswax. So we're going to take these into the house. I'm going to throw them in the oven, heat them up to about 500 degrees, and then we'll bring them out and we'll put that nice coating on them that will protect it. And then we'll get started on the handles. We've got hickory and ash, 8/4, ready to go. Well, I was kind of hoping she wasn't going to be in here. I was hoping you weren't in here.
Why, baby?
I need to bake these two things in your oven for a while.
I don't know about that. Why?
Because I need to heat treat them, or put the coating, the beeswax on them. And it needs to be hot to take it.
So if you heat it up, what, is it just metal?
Just metal.
All right, throw them in. Do you need to preheat it?
Just make it hot as it'll go.
In you go.
So for this section of the video, you guys get to enjoy a voiceover because for some reason the audio didn't pick up. So I baked the two froze inside Mrs. W's oven. Got them up to about 500 degrees, and so that they'll take a beeswax right now. So what I'm putting on is the beeswax, and that gives forge tools, different items. It gives it that really nice black look, and really helps with rust resistance. It's not going to stop all rust, but it's going to, if you take it outside or work in the rain, it really offers a lot of protection, and it looks so nice. And it's just a great protective. A lot of people, if you don't have beeswax, you can use, when we went to the blacksmith class, we used minwax, just kind of that paste wax, but the beeswax is wonderful. There's just nothing like the smell of beeswax melting. And beeswax candles. If you want something really special for your wife or girlfriend, get her a pair of set of beeswax candles that you guys can keep like for a special dinner or a special event, because the fragrance that comes from them and what it does to the house, it's just magical. It's just an amazing thing. So that's what we're doing. All right, let's go on to the next clip. And there we have the finished, coated, very nice smelling froze, ready for their new handles. So we should be moving on to, something very special came in the mail. Oops, nope, I guess we're going to talk about wood now. No, we're back to the special box. LH, what could you think? What do you think LH stands for? How about Liam Hoffman? Liam Hoffman, the blacksmith, has made something very, very special for me inside of that box, which we will be opening very soon. Stay tuned for that. All right, this is weird. Voiceovers are just terrible, but that's all we have. All right, so this is, I'll tell you what, I don't know what I'm doing here, but this lathe, I probably spent a couple hours on it now. This is a little bit after the fact, and I just have fallen in love with it. I haven't a bad thing to say about it. The ergonomics of it are just incredible, from the position of the levers to where they put the switch. It was delightful. It's a little intimidating using a lathe because they're so powerful, and you have this wood and everything spinning and all of that. And, you're always afraid of things we don't really understand or know. But maybe after 4 or 5, mostly 10 minutes or so of working with it, turning on it, I felt very comfortable with it. It felt very safe. And I was a little surprised how enjoyable the process was. It was just delightful. Maybe it had something to do with the fact that I get to stand by the window and look out and see this beautiful red-headed woman out there working, which doesn't hurt at all. But also turning the wood was fun as well. So I'm going to end the voiceover here. We'll pick up where I finally figured out that the microphone wasn't recording and take it from there. But I just started doing the turning here, and I was a little bit nervous at first, not knowing the tool or what to expect. But 5 minutes or so, and everything, I felt really comfortable with it and really started to enjoy the process. So let's fast forward to the audio section. Just realized that there's no audio on any of that turning sequence there, so I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that on the edit. But so I was playing around there with it, and I thought, well, just check and see here how we are. There's not a lot of taper in this, and so what I think we're going to do is we're going to fix it like I would fix a I guess maybe an axe handle. We'll just do a split cut. We'll drive a wedge in there and just maybe wedge it in and see what happens, or do we drive it in? I just don't know yet here. It's kind of learning here what we're doing. So it's going to go in like that. Or do I turn this down smaller and then bring it in this way? I want it'd be nice to have a little knob on the end of it, but we can't have a knob on the end of it because the knob won't fit to the handle unless we do it like an axe, and then we can put a detail or a knob on it. Size-wise, that feels pretty good, but let's just turn it down and a little bit more. Will that drive in there? Let me grab a mallet and see if we were to. I wonder how close that is. Can we drive it through where it's at? We can see how much. There's too much pressure on the wood there. That needs to come down. Let's turn it down a little bit more and see what happens. So I don't know how much audio we have in there, but as I was saying before when the mic was off, the little lathe it's very confidence inspiring. It's very ergonomic. Nice, easy to use. I love the position where the on-off switch is. It's easy to get to, and the controls are good. It seems to be a very usable. It's actually quite enjoyable machine. All right, so let's turn this down a little bit. So we'll dial this down, make it a little bit smaller. And see what happens here. I really like where that on-off switch is. That's really important to me. That doesn't seem to work as good as the gouge does. Let's try that before we get too carried away and see if that fits. Since we're going to use an axe style wedge, it will come in from the opposite direction. It's closer, but look at the bruising on the wood there. We're still way too tight. We'll take it down a little bit more. Imagine the first guy that invented this. As hard as it is to make round stock dowels that spun something like that, it's like, man, I am really on to something here. Let's try this. Okay, let's see how we're looking here. So, boy, not being, I'm not just being able to decide here. I'm being indecisive. Is that the right word? So we're going to come down here. So I think that fit looks pretty good. If we give it a little tap, I feel like I could drive it through with just about the right amount of effort. You can see that's pretty good. So we've got constant contact all the way around there. That's what Brian did a good job forging that. We're not just we're not oval or egg shape. We're not contacting in one spot. That's pretty impressive, especially for being an amateur. Okay, so he definitely did flare it out here on the back side. See how loose it is there. So we can do one of two things. We could turn it this diameter all the way and then do a swell at the back and just have a taper fit and knock it out of there. But then we're not going to have anything fancy on it. Do we want fancy, or do we want to axe wedge it and then do a knob on the other end more like this? what to do. You know what, let's just keep it simple. Let's just do it the traditional method, and we'll turn this diameter all the way, and then we'll do a swell on the end, and we'll just do a press fit. I've got the body of the handle all turned down, and I just finish it off with a little sandpaper here. I left it just a little bit high. I want the fit to be as close as possible so I could sand it smooth, so I'm just using a little 320. So let's see if it fits in the eye. It looks pretty good. Looks really uniform. I know this has got to be some pretty basic stuff for those of you guys who have experience with this, but this is coming from the perspective of never really of doing this before. So it couldn't be better. That's just what I wanted there. I want to be able to knock the handle out so we can store them in the toolbox side by side, so they don't take up so much space. So that fits through there very nicely, and I've left it a little bit wide here, a little bit wider at the end, and now we can make that flare here at the end, and then it can be driven on, and I think that will be good. Yeah, that is going to be nice, isn't it?
It's a long way